Excellencies, fellow ministers, members of Parliament of Jubaland, today here we are gathered as the representatives from Xero region to discuss and to have a consultative meeting on the situation in Xero region. And we hereby issue the following communique. On 6 August, today, representatives from both the executive and legislative branches of the Jubaland state government convened in a high-level consultative forum regarding the prevailing situation in Xero region. The meeting focused on pressing agenda items. 1, the resurgence of conflicts in the Xero region fueled by the federal government of Somalia, the political and economic blockade imposed on Jubaland territories, particularly in Xero, and to support the reinforcement of Jubaland frontline security forces in Xero region. The forum was held in response to mounting politically driven interventions, systemic rights violations, and the collective hardship experienced by communities in Xero. Participants of the conference denounced the actions of the federal government of Somalia, which has increasingly undermined constitutional order and the federal foundation upon which Somalia's state-building process is anchored. These actions violate the spirit and letter of Articles 48 and 50 of the Provincial Constitution, which emphasize cooperation, power sharing, and mutual respect between the federal government and federal member states. The federal government has undertaken sustained military operations in Ras Kamboni, Bardere, Daawo, and Daawo, deploying public resources, including donor-funded arms and logistics intended for counter-terrorism and the fight against Al-Shabaab, using those resources against peaceful Jubaland districts. This misappropriation directly violates Articles 44 and 45 of the Provincial Constitution, which regulate the equitable allocation of national resources and protect the environment and territorial stability. Additionally, for nearly a year, the federal government has unilaterally suspended all civilian air transport to and from Xero and politically blocked development projects and public service intended for the region. These actions contravene Article 27, which guarantees Somali citizens access to social services, including clean water, health care, and essential public infrastructure. Following thorough assessment of the crisis, the meeting came up with the following resolutions. 1, the meeting sends, we send our deep condolences to the people affected in the recent clashes that lasted around 10 days in Daawo, where some of our gallant soldiers lost their lives. In fact, the soldiers used in that war by the federal government of Somalia are the soldiers that were formed to protect and defend our national territories. Using them as for local conflicts is actually very disappointing, and we actually regret what the federal government has done. 2, constitutional reaffirmation. The Jubaland state government strongly urges the federal government to immediately cease hostilities and return to lawful constitutional behavior. The use of force against a federal member state undermines Articles 1 and 3, which establish Somalia as a sovereign federal republic built on shared governance and national unity. Call for public, number 3, call for public unity. The meeting calls on peace-loving citizens across Jubaland to stand united in defense of their constitutional institutions and reject attempts to fragment state authority through proxy actors or political interference. We mean, in this case, the proxy actors, we do not intend to cause harm or war to our neighboring countries. And we don't also expect the federal government of Somalia to import international conflicts along the borders of Jubaland. Jubaland borders the two countries of Ethiopia and Kenya, which have strongly stood with the people of Somalia for the past 3 decades. And so importing any conflict outside of Somalia to bring to Jubaland is totally rejected by the representatives from Geda region. 3, the conference urges and expresses full and unwavering support for Jubaland's disciplined security forces operating across Geda region, acknowledging their resilience in maintaining security amidst unlawful federal aggression. Number 5, non-politicization of national forces. As I've already said, the Somali National Army is urged to remain neutral, refrain from following the unconstitutional political directives, and avoid following unconstitutional orders aimed at dismantling federal security apparatus through upholding Article 126 of the Constitution, which affirms military subordination to the rule of law and constitutional order. Number 6, reopening of the civil infrastructure. The meeting demands the immediate and unconstitutional reopening of Geda's airports and the resumption of all suspended humanitarian and development projects. It's indeed unfortunate that the people of Geda are suffering as a result of droughts and continued floods and other natural disasters. Yet the government of Somalia cannot support and deliver with humanitarian assistance, and instead the government delivers arms and individuals aimed at destabilizing the region. These are constitutionally protected under Article 21, which ensures citizens' freedom of movement. These rights of movement should be restored, and patients and other people willing to travel to other parts of the country or outside the country to seek medical assistance should be allowed to travel immediately. Regional stability and regional stability warning. We want regional stability. Actually, authorities warn against security interventions along the Geda border that may escalate tensions with neighboring countries, jeopardizing Somalia's international standing and violating Article 7, which safeguards national borders and peaceful international relations. 8, we appeal to international partners. The international community is urged to reevaluate its support to the federal government, considering the misuse of aid, security equipment, and funds against member states' resources originally intended for national stability and anti-terror operations. And in this case, we urge the international community to take note of the arms that they have supplied, which are used against killing of civilians and dismantling of existing and constitutional order of Jubaland state. 9, we hereby warn on the political consequences. The continued violation of constitutional order by the federal government, particularly in Jubaland and Puntland, risks undermining Somalia's fragile state-building efforts, delaying institutional progress, and fracturing the federal structures. We warn against these issues. Fighting Jubaland and Puntland undermines 30 or so years of effort put in state building for Somalia. Finally, we urge the people of Jubaland to stay united, irrespective of the aggression by the federal government of Somalia and should not be divided along clan lines, which are actually unnecessary. To sum it all, we, the representatives of Gedo, from both levels of government, urge humanitarian partners to immediately deliver humanitarian assistance and support to the people affected by the wars in Gedo region.